78 of the Everything Ham Radio podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the program called RepeaterBook with Garrett Dow, its creator, Kilo Delta 6 Kilo Papa Charlie. So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Everything Ham Radio podcast. My name is Curtis, my call sign is Kilo 5 Charlie Lima Mike, and I am your host for this podcast. This podcast goes out every Thursday morning for your listening pleasure. I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you for sharing and all of the support that y'all have given me over the past 78 episodes. Today we are talking with Garrett Dow. He is the author, founder, and creator of the program called RepeaterBook. RepeaterBook is an online repeater directory, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it with him here in just a minute. But first off, I want to thank you all for listening again. I want to let you know where you can find the show notes for today's episode. There's going to be some additional information in there that you might find interesting, as well as some links and some other stuff. So make sure you check that out. You can find it at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/78. That's the number 78. You can find me on Facebook at the group is at facebook.com/groups/everythinghamradio. And of course, I still have the page up, and that is facebook.com/everythinghamradio. I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio. I've been doing a little bit of tweaking with the videos on YouTube, getting them a little bit different, and I'm still working on some plans that I have for the future of that channel. So please stick around for that and make sure that you check it out, and I will let you know when I do something a little bit different. You can find me on Twitter at K5CLM, which is probably where I'm the most active and where I'm the easiest to find. So make sure you check me out there. I guess really the only other thing that I want to let you all know about before we get onto the interview with Garrett, my good buddy Kale over at Ham Radio 360 has another spin-off of his podcast. You probably know about it. You might not, but if you don't, here it is. You know, of course, you have the main Ham Radio 360 podcast, which is every other Tuesday morning, and you have the Workbench podcast, which we talked about last week with George and Jeremy. But this past Thursday, there's a new podcast in the Ham Radio 360 family, and it's called Field Radio. Now, it's hosted by John, W7DBO, and it's going to be all about deploying in the field, stuff you should have to do that, you know, not only in the field, but in emergency situations and stuff like that. So I highly suggest that you go over and give that podcast a listen. I've really enjoyed the first episode that, like I said, came out last Thursday. And it's going to be released every Thursday morning on the same week as the main Ham Radio 360 podcast. So check that out and give it a listen. I highly recommend it. So I guess without any further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the interview with Garrett. Hey everybody, we are here with Garrett Dow. His call sign is Kilo Delta 6 Kilo Papa Charlie, and he is the author, administrator, owner, all that good stuff of a online program called RepeaterBook. So Garrett, why don't you first off introduce yourself a little bit further than what I just did, and tell us a little about yourself.
Sure, yeah. I live in the Portland, Oregon area now. From the sixth call, you can tell I actually got my call in California, and got it back in 1992 at the age of 17 as part of a Boy Scout merit badge project. Had a great Elmer down there that taught me well, and I got my call, and my dad got his call, and he's one letter behind mine in sequence, Kilo Delta 6 Kilo Papa Delta, and I didn't change my call when I came to Oregon because of that call sign there with my dad. I wanted to keep that sequence with him. So up here, and I've got a full-time job. The repeater book ends up being a hobby, and I enjoy the hobby quite a bit. some would say I'm just a tech, and I only got my tech license because for some reason HF just has not intrigued me. And I really like the VHF, UHF, being down in the local bands, if you will. I love teaching ham radio. I've taught and licensed dozens of people, including my wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my son's getting ready. He's only 13, but he says he wants to get his license, so we keep perpetuating the hobby as much as we can. So
tell me your secret. How did you get your wife to agree to get her license? I've been working online for almost 7 years now, and she's like, nope, I don't want anything to, nope. Yeah.
I know. I was told that you double your budget if you can get your wife to get her ticket.
Exactly, so, but my problem is that she would get all the good stuff, and I'd be left with the hand-me-downs.
Well, that's fair enough. She's got the nice Kenwood D710 in her car, and I've got the older D700. But you take it. Just you just do what you can. So, but I haven't had any problems with my budget. She's never told me no. So, she may not be that active on there, but we've used it before when we need to. When we travel, she's got a radio in her car. I've got one in mine, and she actually helps me out checking repeaters as we travel. So she's active on it when she needs to be. So she enjoys it. She enjoys it good enough. Maybe doesn't understand, all the technical nuances and stuff like that, but she knows how to key a mic and have a conversation.
Hey, that's the main part, getting on the air and talking. And I wish I could get my wife to do that, but of course it really wouldn't do me much good because it's kind of hard for me to talk when my radio is busted or my antenna is busted in my car, so wouldn't do me a whole lot of good. So you mentioned that that your wife helps you with your RepeaterBook and checking them and stuff like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what RepeaterBook is?
Well, very simply, RepeaterBook is a repeater directory. It's started out online and an app followed it, and really the reason why it started is, and maybe this is a familiar story, but I mentioned I got my ticket at 17, and I remember my dad driving me down to the ham radio shop, and we bought an Alinco DJ F1T. That was my first radio, and HT, and then we bought a repeater guide, a directory, and I was all in on radio. I spent countless hours going through the guide, bringing up repeaters, getting in with the local ham radio club, participating in events that needed the radio, eventually buying a mobile radio for the car. But the frustrating thing that I found was when you go through the repeater guide and the little book, and you're trying repeaters that some of them don't work. Mm-hmm. And is that because the frequency is wrong, the offset's wrong, the CTCSS tone is wrong? Are you out of range? What is it? But then you find repeaters that should be in your hometown and they're not coming up, and realize for some reason there's repeaters listed in this book that they're not operational. And so then you're making little marks, next to the repeaters that actually work. So right away I knew back at 17 that these paper-bound books just weren't as accurate, and so so you have to do your own updates and keep that going, and so that's really, I guess fast forward to 2006, and I just wanted an easy way to track repeaters, and so an online database was actually intended just for me, and it was easy to use PHP and MySQL. In fact, I went down to the bookstore and bought a PHP for Dummies book because I knew how to program a Commodore 64 way back, but so I had to actually learn how to code, and so I experimented and coded, and I just wanted to have a repeater guide that was online that I could access from anywhere, that had the repeaters that I knew about in the local Portland, Oregon area, and then expanded out to Oregon and Washington. And that's really what it was. It wasn't designed for, you could share it, but it wasn't designed for that. It's just an easy way to keep track of the repeaters I knew about. So a couple of years in, and I get an email from a ham, VE6 SRV, up in Canada. He's up in Alberta, and he says, "Hey, I've noticed this website that you have, and it's got repeaters data on it, and he's like, can you add Canada to that?" And so we talked at length about how to do that, and that's really what started the growth. And so it, over the years, you add a state, add another state, and his idea is what started the model of he was willing to curate Alberta, Canada, and put the data in. So I created modules for him to curate his own data, and he takes care of that. And so we're like, hey, why don't we just have local people in different areas? If they want to add to this community of data, then sure, go ahead and add it. And so it rolled out and expanded eastward until all of the U.S. and Canada were covered, and so that's really the beginnings of how RepeaterBook came to be RepeaterBook.
So how many people do you have? I get air quotes here. How many people do you have working for you?
I want to say there's right about 85. Almost every state in the United States is covered. I think there's one or two maybe that isn't covered by an admin. And every Canadian province is covered by an admin. And then there are admins all across the world, Germany and Spain and Romania. Just this weekend, a fellow from Panama contacted me, and he's now curating Panama and entering in data for Panama. So it grows, and it grows at the speed of interest, I guess, within the community.
So you're not just in North America; you're actually pretty well worldwide. It sounds like.
Yeah, we're running about 85 countries currently. Interesting story how we got into worldwide was there's a ham in England. His name is Nicholas, M1HOG, and he contacted me because he had worldwide data, and he was feeding that into an app that he called Repeater Locator, and he wanted to combine the worldwide data with the North American data and make this app all across the whole world. And so I partner with Nicholas, and he does everything in the app, but the data feeds from the website. So everything gets added in the website and then pushed out to the app. And so now the app is worldwide and includes North America. So that's really how I got into doing the whole world, was through his connections. And he brought his admins in, and now they curate the data on the website instead of sending him Excel spreadsheets, every so often. It's now done in real time.
Well, I mean that's awesome that you have that many people that do it, and that you're so pretty much worldwide. I mean that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about how I guess maybe it works, how the program works.
Sure, yeah. It's a database, right? And what I've created is a user interface that allows anybody to come in and look at the data. We don't require registration. You can come in, and you don't have to be logged on and view the data. We don't require any type of a fee, subscription service, nothing, because
Wow.
This is truly a community database. And so therefore the data's free. The app is free, and you'll notice there's some ads on the website. No ads on the app at all right now, but and that's just to pay the bills. RepeaterBook is not. It's not. Everybody that works on it has a full-time job. This is all just hobby, and to me, the spirit of community that comes with amateur radio is collecting the data and sharing it. And so that's what it is. And so if you were to go to the website, you can go in and select your country, and if you're in the U.S., select your state, and select a county, select a band, do a kind of an advanced search, and if you want to find how many repeaters are around you, within 25 miles, 50 miles, 300 miles, you can search for that and have that come back in a tabular format and view that. And then you can export it. You can export it to comma-separated value or even to many different programming software applications to put it in your radio. So we really listen to the community, and the community comes out and says, hey, this is what we like, and as that momentum begins to build in a direction, then I'll go in and program that. For example, the community is asking for a way to subscribe, if you will, to an area or a region, and say, you want to know about all the repeaters that have changed in some way in Indiana, and you just want to be alerted to that. So we're building out a service that will send you an email and let you know, hey, today 13 repeaters changed in Indiana. So then you can go in and say, hey, that repeater is new, and I want to add that to my radio because it's near me and I didn't know it was there. And so build stuff like that. Just it's information. It's information, and trying to make it accessible to everybody.
Right. Well, that sounds awesome. We kind of got a little ahead of ourselves. I wasn't going to ask that question until next time. But so let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about the program itself. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Do you have an old-fashioned voltage or amp meter hooked to your station? Are you looking to find something that has more bells and whistles? Check out the West Mountain Radio Power Check. The Power Check has 8 display modes, including voltage, current flow in either direction, wattage, and amp hours, and will measure from 0 to 60 volts with 40 amps continuous load. It is accurate to within 10 millivolts and 10 milliamps. It has a backlit graphics LCD that will display data in digital, analog, and bar graph formats. You can even monitor your battery backup with a programmable gas gauge. The non-volatile memory stores more than 100,000 data points without power. That's nearly 2.5 months worth of data at 1 point per minute. It has a USB computer interface for configuration and data download, and you can program it to sound an alarm for overcurrent, over and under voltage, and amp hours. The software that comes with it allows you to program every aspect of the Power Check operation, such as data logging rate, display formats, and alarm conditions. You can display current, voltage, wattage, and amp hours in real time. It has an integrated charting software that automatically collects and displays data. All the data can be downloaded and stored for later analysis. If this sounds like something you would really like, make sure you head on over to everythinghamradio.com/WMR and check it out. And if you do, and enter the code EH078 at checkout, you will get $50 off of your purchase. Normally the Power Check runs $184.95. If you enter the coupon code EH078, you get a $50 discount, and that comes to $134.95. You can't beat it. The offer expires September 30th, 2017, so make sure you head on over and get yours before the coupon expires. Also, don't forget to pick up your free USB port monitor with your purchase. Again, that's everythinghamradio.com/WMR for more information. All right, y'all, we are back with Garrett Dell, Kilo Delta 6 Kilo Papa Charlie. And I meant to say this in the last episode, but I totally understand keeping the call sign. When I got my license back in like 95 or something like that, my dad and I did the same thing. And his call sign is Kilo Charlie 5 Papa Whiskey Quebec. And mine was Papa Whiskey Papa. And yeah, I mean, it was great. You know what? I always remember it. And his is still the same call sign, but I decided to, when I upgraded to General, I decided to go with the 1x3 and get my initials, and it was easier. It was easier to say. It was easier to do in CW, even though I don't do it very much. It just made more sense. But I can totally understand the nostalgia of keeping the call sign. Totally.
And nobody can remember my call sign on the air, and that's fine. So it's just the way it is. But it's just the nostalgia. It's just too strong for me to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about RepeaterBook, a little bit more about the actual program itself. First off, where can you find it at?
Well, of course, on the web at RepeaterBook.com. but we actually find that most people are finding it through the app. So, and there's 3 apps. There's one for iOS, one for Android, and one out of Kindle on Amazon. So, yeah, you just go and look for RepeaterBook, and in fact, if you do a search on ham radio, it comes up and usually in the top 10 of either one of those stores. And it's amazing how many people are finding. The apps have been downloaded. Oh, man, Nicholas is not going to be happy with me for spreading this, but it's a couple 100,000. Couple 100,000 downloads. It's amazing the number of people out in the world that are using it. And the comments that are coming in, it's rated high, and Nicholas has really done a fantastic job in making an app that is simple, intuitive, very, very fast and responsive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a wonderful, wonderful job with that, and making everybody happy. I mean, you go look at the ratings on it, the 4.5 or 4 3/4 stars or whatever, and usually what people maybe knock a star down for or whatever is because they want more features. But we're kind of on this, hey, keep it simple type of an attitude with it. And really the beauty of this thing is that it is an offline app, and what that means is it doesn't need an internet connection to run. Now, of course, it needs one to download the app, but when you download the app, you download the entire database right into your device.
Wow.
So I got an email from a guy, that soldier, one of our soldiers that was reservist, and he was working Hurricane Sandy. And he said, hey, we're level 3 deployment out here. There's no power, and we are using RepeaterBook to find repeaters. And that's not an uncommon email that we get, that people that truly want an offline app. So I guess, if some of your listeners out there are preppers, I've heard this called the ultimate prepper app, because you can be out in the woods somewhere way out of cell phone range, and it will use the GPS on your device and come right up and show you the closest repeaters, or all the repeaters within the range you set, and which direction. So it might say there's a repeater 1.5 miles northeast, and here's all the data on it. And it's instant. It's so fast that I open it up, and by the time the app loads, the data's already on the screen. You're like, hey, did this thing load? Yeah, it did. It's accurate. It's
Wow.
really, really fast. So kudos to Nicholas on that. Nicholas is constantly working on the app. If you have the Android version, you can now search. Instead of just getting the data around you, you can type in, let's say you want to get repeaters in Berlin, you can do a search and just start typing in Berlin, and Berlin will pop up, and you click it, and all the repeaters in Berlin, Germany will pop up. Or if you're looking for all the repeaters around Chicago, you just type in Chicago, even though you're not there, and they all pop up. And so he's working on getting that out for iOS, and I think that'll be a big hit, because it's been a big hit on Android. People want to research repeaters on the app before they travel, as opposed to the website, which I think the website's more powerful for doing that, but they want to use the app. So we're making the app work, and it's really amazing that Nicholas is motivated to do that, because again, there's no money, here. He's not charging a thing for that. There's not even so much as an ad in there. He's just doing it because he loves it, I guess. It's really quite amazing.
That's really neat. So, since it doesn't use data or anything like that, I'm assuming there's no maps or anything like that on the app itself. It's just like all text.
Well, yeah, that's correct. There are no maps on it, and another interesting tidbit that we find, because again, we're community driven. The community wants something, so we look at it and really talk about it. And we were getting a lot of requests for maps. People wanted to see on the screen the maps of where the repeaters were. Now, unrelated was the search that Nicholas made, where again I was saying you could type in Chicago and Chicago would come up. Once he launched that on the Android version, all the requests for the mapping stopped, but we still continue to get it from iOS users. So I'm not sure. We're still trying to figure out why that is. The hesitation, it's absolutely doable. You can do a Google call and bring maps up and populate them on the phone. The hesitation, though, is that if you do that function, you got to have data. So if you're requesting maps, so I travel from Portland to Boise and drive on areas of the interstate here that actually don't have cell phone service. I mean, this is the Great West. There's not coverage like there is going down the New Jersey Turnpike, I guess. But
right.
And so you want to map it, and you're out in Morrow County, and you're getting nothing. It's just dead. But so that's the hesitation. But we're still looking at it. But again, with the Android version getting this new search function and the request for mapping absolutely going silent, we're hoping that applies back over to iOS, and it's solving whatever need that folks have. But if that continues to be a rumbling and a push for that, then that's something that we're prepared to go after. Knowing that folks will have to know that without a data connection that you just won't get anything.
I guess you could always put some kind of if statement or something like that. If I have data, then light up or enable this button to bring up a map, and if I don't, just put the text.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm not an app designer, but maybe that's something Nicholas would think of. So, yeah, really fortunate to have Nicholas here who understands that stuff. But yeah.
So, how often is the app updated? I mean, I'm sure you get updates on the repeaters a lot, and I'm sure the website is probably the most accurate of the 4 different platforms. But how often do you update the database on the iOS on the cell devices?
The cell device itself, because it's packaged up into into the app itself, all the data. That the goal is about every 2 weeks. So about every 2 weeks, we'll run it through a data integrity check and then send it out. Now the Android, when you go to Android and Kindle, that as soon as you put it up for sale, they call it, even though it's free, they call it for sale. It's available. Now iOS, you go into Apple and they have to run it through their some type of a check and make sure it doesn't violate any of their rules, and so it takes about 4 or 5 days and it gets out. But about every 2 weeks. So you can go in, let's say, and make an update on the website, but you may not see that for a couple of weeks, and that's just kind of one of the I guess the pitfalls of being offline. But 2 weeks is, we're hoping, not too much. You don't get that instant gratification, but 2 weeks behind has been acceptable for our users. I think if we were to drag it out to 3 months, we would hear complaints, but I think it's close enough that people are okay with it. But so how many updates is the app getting in 2 weeks? And we actually I actually track how many updates the site gets. Worldwide, the site has 32,650 repeaters in it. Now, when I say that, I mean active repeaters, because repeaters are up and down all the time, meaning they lose the site, somebody gets disinterested in having a repeater, or the repeater breaks, or unfortunately, some of our hams go to the silent key, and these repeaters go offline. And it does no service to anybody to leave those repeaters listed, so we take them out of the database. So this is 32,650 repeaters that we believe are actually in a potentially functional state somewhere. In fact, one of the things that we do that is very unique is actually track the operational status of the repeater. We want to know if it's on air, off air, in a testing mode, or if we just don't know, we'll tell you. So, and we know the status of 91% of the repeaters listed in RepeaterBook.
Wow.
That's, I mean, somebody's out there saying, hey, this repeater's up online, I'm going to report it, it's working. What good does it do you to have a repeater that you try to key up that it doesn't work, So we let you know if it's working or not. And I can tell you that in the last year, we have completed 18,829 updates. Those are either initiated by our local admins or initiated by folks that have come into the site and report. In the last 7 days alone, we've done 370 updates. So, do the math on that. That's 740 if I'm doing my math right. Updates every 2 weeks that you might be missing, but we'll get you caught up. So the website is extremely active. We actually let and here I told you we don't have data. We don't have data input into from the web to the app, but we allow you to send data out of the app to the web. Meaning, if you're in the app and you see a repeater in the app that needs an update, you can send that to the website from the app, and we update it. My admins usually update repeaters within a couple days, but a lot of times same day, within minutes. The admins get an email alert whenever somebody puts in a request to add a repeater, change a repeater, whatever, and they act on it. And then the person who puts it in gets an email right back saying, "Hey, it's done. Please verify it. Make sure we got it right." So what good is a repeater directory where the repeater data is no good, right? That's what you're living on. It's like, what good is a car that doesn't drive down the road, right? So you got to have that. And so we've really pained over how to get the data accurate. And there's a lot of people that probably don't know this, but there is not a centralized place that every repeater owner contacts to let them know that the repeater's on the air. There's no government agency. There's no entity. There's all these coordination councils that are all over the U.S., for example, that coordinate repeaters.
Mm-hmm.
And but we've even found, as we've gone through, that users have told us, "Oh, the coordination council, they don't update their data, or it's wrong, or they have a bunch of paper repeaters, and we're more accurate than what the coordination council is posting online."
Wow.
And even my local coordination council here has said that they make no attempt to verify if a repeater is actually operational. If somebody applies to put a repeater on the air, they'll list it, but there's no verification that it's actually working. And so my argument is, well, what good is it to post it, say it's there, if it's you're just telling me who's reserved the space, not who's actually using it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're different. We want the users to tell us, call it community, call it crowdsourcing, and verification, because our admins, many of them drive all over their areas, personally verify, send out emails to repeater owners, check status, and they are asked to do that, to verify every repeater in their jurisdiction once every 2 years. It's kind of kind of hard to work your volunteers harder than that, but some are checking every 6 months, making sure, and they really take a lot of pride in making sure the data in their particular area is accurate. So how accurate is the data? That's really hard to say. But what we say is hey, the app is free, the website is free. Download it, take a look. If it's accurate, great. If it's not accurate, well, guess what? Fix it, because you're part of the community. Mm-hmm. So let us know, and we'll fix it. And in your area there, you could go on and check, and if you find a repeater that's listed incorrectly or not there, and you want us to know about it, let us know, and maybe that helps another ham who's traveling in. Or, I've been into the local ham shop, and they say that one of their big problems with trying to sell radios to new hams is that the new hams don't know what to do with repeaters. Hey, who do I talk to? How do I talk to? Yeah, and so they'll bring up RepeaterBook on their phones right there and say, look, this is a repeater, this is the frequency, this is the PL tone, this is the offset, this is what you need, and it adds value to the radio they're trying to sell in the shop. To me, it adds value to the ham, because the ham actually, gets to get on the air. They see it because it adds value to. It makes it easier to sell something if you can, show somebody that there's actually, you bring up and say, hey, Dallas, Texas, you put in and show 25 miles and 150 repeaters come up or whatever. Mm-hmm. Hey, wow, there's a lot of opportunity here.
Right.
So in that way, we feel, and when I say we, all the admins feel like we're doing a service to the amateur radio community by providing the information so that hams can talk to hams and keep the hobby rolling. Just keep it going, keep us talking, keep us on the air, and so that's really how we feel about it. And you'll find a lot of admins that are absolutely passionate about the work that they do. So, and I applaud them for that. I'm really nice to have admins who have the same vision and goal and take it serious and and there's no personal glory for them. I mean, they're just doing it. I don't know why. It's wonderful though.
They'll probably the same reason that pretty much anybody volunteers, just because they want to. So kind of going off a little bit on like the search function and stuff like that. Let's say that I'm driving from my hometown here to Chicago, for example. Does the app or does the website allow me to say, okay, well, this is where I'm starting at, this is where I'm ending at, and give me a list of all the repeaters along that route?
So like to pre-plan your trip?
Right.
Yeah. The app does not do that. The app will give you repeaters around a point, or it will tell you the repeaters along your route constantly updating. The reason why the app doesn't do it is going back to that data thing. You do have to do, the most popular way is a Google hit with a route boxer application and have it figure out, all these geo shapes around your route and then come up. Well, that would require an internet connection. Now, the website, yes and no. So on the website, I've been experimenting with the route boxer, and I can make it work. But the problem that I found with it is that it brings in all the repeaters along the route. And so to go from Texas up to Chicago there, it may come up with 1,200 repeaters. And I don't think anybody wants to really go through and try every single one. Maybe they do. But we came up with a different idea, and that is that you would maybe want to, that you want to be on different interstates. And forgive me, I've been to Dallas before, but I can't remember the north-south interstate that runs through there.
35.
I-35, okay. So you go to the website and you put in I-35, and you can tell I just want the repeaters along I-35 in Texas, or you can keep going and doing each state, or you can just do the whole thing. And it will come up with a list. And the list that comes up is based upon users telling us, if you're on I-35, you should use this repeater. And the criteria for that is that the repeater is on the air, that it is active, friendly, and usually wide area. Because, with the speed limits the way they are now, 60 to 80 to even 85 miles an hour, how long are you in range of a repeater that's got a coverage area of 10 miles?
Right.
That's, so, why not a repeater that's got a 40-mile range or a 60-mile range, or if you're up, into Denver area, 150-mile range. Those are the repeaters that you want, because you can get on and have a QSO and have many QSOs and not have to constantly change. Or let's say you're going through Utah, and Utah has a system on I-15 of linked repeaters, so that you could jump from this repeater to that repeater to that repeater and be on the same linked system and continue your QSO, just jump to the other one. So that is really how our search is built. Not because we can't do hey, tell me all the repeaters within 20 miles of I-35 and have Google pop me back some coordinates and search the database for everything within those coordinates. I've done it. I can do it. I just didn't know how valuable that was. So we wanted to go with user recommendations. So that's really how it does it. And then, hey, now you got that on your screen. You've got all these repeaters on your screen. Now what? Export it. Export it right to the software that you program your radio with, and program your radio, and you're off. You can go right there. So that's our philosophy. That's our philosophy on that.
Okay. So it's not really per se of say 5 miles of the interstate. It's actually somebody has to say, use this repeater.
Well, yeah, and think if you said that you wanted every repeater within 20 miles of the interstate, but there's a repeater that's 40 miles out but has more coverage than everything that's close because it's on a high mountain that's out on the horizon, you'll miss that. You'll miss it because it won't get caught in that route boxer application.
Right.
So yeah. So what I guess I don't know how to do, maybe it's possible, is to figure out every repeater that covers that stretch of road, where what you're really doing is you're doing a search of a repeater within so many miles of the road. Doesn't mean it necessarily covers very well.
Right.
So you'd have to do coverage predictions on all the repeaters, and anyways, I'm sure somebody could figure it out, but I haven't even ventured into that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some way to. I'm sure there'd be a lot of coding involving it. Kind of like the feature on aprs.fi that has the range circles or the range polygons or whatever of each of the digital modes. Kind of like that, it's like some of them might have just a 10-mile radius, some of them might have a 50 or 100-mile radius or something like that. I'm sure you could probably do it, but it would be a lot of coding, and again, you might have one that goes down or changes location or something like that. I'm sure there's a lot of work that would be involved with that.
Well, that's a neat system, because essentially what it's doing is it's getting propagation reports, right? Because it's got a GPS coordinate, and it says, "Hey, I communicated with the Digi from here." Right. So that kind of brings me back to RepeaterBook, because actually when you're on the website, you can report propagation reports. So we have it's really helpful for repeater owners, but for travelers, on any repeater you're looking at, you can click add a propagation report and click in there and say, "Hey, I was in a mobile." And I know this is relative to say I was on a mobile and I got an S5 signal strength, but you can put that in. You can say I was here with an S5 on a mobile antenna, and it'll put that right on the map so everybody can see the coverage area is reported by people. And so, I mean, we have over 1,000 propagation reports in the database. So we're collecting that. It's not a well-used feature. I wish it was used more, but maybe that is the beginning to what we were talking about, to get this, based on propagation reports and people reporting on the highway.
Right. I was kind of wondering how you did that, because I actually went in and tried doing that, and I did I-35. And here where I live at, there's the 145.49 and the 444.000 repeater are both 490 feet up, about 10 miles or so from I-35, and have about a 80-mile range or better on them. And the I-35 corridor, like the last repeater I saw to the south of me was in Hillsboro, and the next one that I found was like in Denton. I mean, it totally skipped over Fort Worth, all of Johnson County where I live at, and it really kind of threw me as odd, because there's 15 repeaters in Johnson County, all of them pretty much within 10 miles of I-35. And then you have the Fort Worth repeaters, the 14694 repeaters on a bank. Well, at least it used to be. I don't know where it is now, but on a bank building within spitting distance of I-35, and it wasn't listed on either. So I kind of wondered how you did that and how accurate the information was for that.
Yeah, and it probably leaves a little bit to be desired until people go in and really use that, that feature and report that. Now you come to Oregon and you want to travel down I-5 or I-84, it's done nice, because I did it. So I actually have it set that you can use it on your iPhone. I know you have an iPhone, and there's a mobile version of the site. And when you're on the mobile version of the site and you're looking at a repeater, there's a link that says Add Propagation Report, and it will take your current coordinates based on where your phone is right now, and then you just add in that you're on a mobile or an HT and what your S rating is, and it'll drop that pin right there on the map for you, and it's there right now for everybody, and you keep going. You don't have to mess with the map, type in coordinates. You just say, it'll just go from where you are right now and drop it. But it does require that people actually go on and do that, and maybe that's something we could advertise a little bit better. But that's how it works.
Well, so far I'm really loving this program. I think probably the easiest way, or the best way that I have heard of that really relates to the method that y'all use is y'all use with the app with the iOS app, and pretty much the website too. You use the KISS method. Do you know what the KISS method is?
Keep it simple, and you put whatever you want on the end. Yeah.
Right. It's really simple. It's really neat. It's really awesome to use. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more of the technical aspect of this program. So stick around, y'all. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Dan, KD6NU, author of the No Nonsense Amateur Radio License Study Guides. My study guides have helped thousands get their license or upgrade to general class or extra class, and they can help you too. What makes them unique is my no-nonsense style. I don't bamboozle you with a lot of text. Instead, I give you just what you need to know in a simple, straightforward way that's designed to help you pass the test. One reader even told me, your study guide explained in a couple of paragraphs topics that the license manual needed a couple of pages to cover. Another wrote, the clarity and simplicity of your descriptions blew the license manual away. My study guides are available in paperback, in a variety of ebook formats, and even as audiobooks. Get your copy today. Go to kb6nu.com/ETHR for more info. Thanks.
Hey everybody, we are back with Garrett Dow, Kilo Delta 6, Kilo Papa Charlie, and we are talking about RepeaterBook. Now, we've talked a little bit off recording here about some stuff, and he's given me some amazing numbers, and it just dumbfounds me. I would love to have the hits that y'all have, but I'm not gonna make you tell it on air here. But you know, it's amazing that the community and the way that you know, things can be found and the way that things can grow. It's awesome. So kudos to y'all for doing this, and for all your admins that help with it, and for keeping the information as accurate as possible. Thank y'all very much for that. I actually have the app on my phone, and I've actually used it quite a bit too. So thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Let's talk a little bit about the technical side of things, okay? You mentioned earlier that you can put it into your radio programming software. What programs are, I guess, maybe integrated with this, or is it just like you export a CVS file and import it into your thing, or how does that work?
Well, integrated, it's in Chirp, so you can go right into Chirp and you can download data right out of Chirp. And it's also in RT Systems. So you have RT Systems software. You can go right into RT Systems software and, query on Dallas, Texas, and have the repeaters for Dallas, Texas, 2 meters, whatever, just populate right in to RT Systems directly. So it is integrated with those two systems. And then, we have a partnership with D-Star users. So you can go onto their website and they will create a I guess I want to say code plug, but that's that seems to be more and more of a DMR term. But basically a programming set for your ICOM D-Star radio. It'll use their site, but it'll use our data. So they just pull right live from the site and bring that in. But you can also go in to the site and export in all those formats yourself. So if you want to do your own search and there's way more search options on the website than there is within the Church app itself, but you can do a custom search type and export it to a Chirp format, and it'll import right into your radio. You can do the same thing with RT Systems format. You can do it with the Kenwood MCP programming formats. It works with Yaesu. We worked with G4HFQ, who makes great Yaesu programming applications. It'll go right into to his app, and ICOM radios also. Or a lot of these apps, a lot of these programming applications will accept a CSV, and so we also will let you export the data in CSV. And maybe that's because you want to program, or maybe that's because you want to bring it into Excel or whatever. You can do that. We also export it in KML, which is a Google Earth format. So. And GPX, so amazing. People are still hanging GPS units on their windshields, and they want repeater data. They have figured out how to put these, using GPX format, they put repeaters on their in-car GPS devices. Amazing. But I was working with a guy just last week that wanted some updates to that, and so we made some changes, and he's rolling down the road with a on-windshield GPS device and repeaters whipping by him on the screen. So, and we just built. Somebody says, "Hey, I need this format." Well, send me a copy of what it's supposed to look like, and we'll turn around and build it out. So, no problem.
Now, do you still do all of the 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 website and database programming yourself, or do you have somebody else that does it, or?
No, I'm a one-man show on that. Again, self-taught, trying to figure it out. And I spend a lot of time on the web on tutorials trying to figure stuff out. But I enjoy it. And I enjoy it because the users will write me back and tell me how it helped them, and that's my motivation. Somebody says, "Hey, I need this." I turn around and get it done for them, and I get a thank you from them, and for some reason, that makes it all worth it to me. I don't need them to say, "Hey, I'll do it for $50." No, just you need that. Yeah, I think other people can use that. Yeah, I'll write it and put it in. So that's really how the website has grown. In fact, something that we've added in the last year is a special search that we call special modes, and the special modes are special areas of the website with special searches for people that maybe they're into All-Star, D-Star, DMR, maybe they're Echolink, IRLP, NXDN, P25, System Fusion, Tetra wires, whatever. You go in there and it's a special area that will tell you all the repeaters that have come in recently with that type of a mode or that have been updated recently. We found that in our database that 15% of all repeaters operating now in the world that we know of are on a digital format, with 38% of the digital repeaters are DMR, and D-Star makes up 22%, and System Fusion is at 29%. So, that's kind of a neat stat, right, that we can pull out of there and track trends of what's going on in the amateur radio community as far as digital repeaters, and we actually track growth trends. Who's growing this month, and who's spiking this month, and what's the up and coming technology based on what we're getting in, and DMR is just really taken off, and there might be people that are kind of pushing back against DMR, but DMR is taking the repeater community by storm right now with the number of repeater ads that we're getting. So, trying to roll with that, we allow, if you're familiar with DMR, that uses talk groups and time slots, and we track that. So if you are trying to make a code plug, you can go to RepeaterBook, and if we have it, we will track in the time slot, the talk group, and the access, whether it's PTT or full time or whatever. We will track all that, so you can create a code plug right off of the data that's on RepeaterBook. And we're working on trying to work with DMR manufacturers of radios to be able to bring in RepeaterBook data and help create the code plug and take away that manual and just automate it. We're not quite there yet, but we're working on that piece.
I know System Fusion is what's really blown up around here. We have, back 2 years ago or whatever, when System Fusion really came out, it was like every one of our repeaters were analog, and now every one of them within my county, with the exception of maybe one, is a System Fusion repeater. And of those, there's probably half of them that have WireX on it. So it's really blown up around here.
Well, fun thing you can do with your app is go into the app and turn off all the search features except for one. Turn on System Fusion only and see how many come back with System Fusion. You can do that. You can shut down every single filter and just turn on the one and see. And when we say System Fusion, we don't mean it's transmitting analog only mode. We mean it actually has the C4FM capability actually up and running. So we track that. We want to know if it's automatic mode, or is it actually C4M capable, or are they someone just buy it and they're just doing FM. So we know that, and we publish that out.
So what kind of filters can you do in the app and on the website?
The app is really what's powerful as far as the filters, and of course every band from 10 meters and down to 24 gigahertz is in here. But FM, D-Star, System Fusion, if you want to just find an IRLP repeater, you can do that. Echolink, even ATV, P25, All-Star, DMR, Wires X, Tetra, and NXDN. You can turn those on and off. If you just, like I said, you want to just look at FM, just click FM. If you don't care about the other stuff and you just want a repeater, it's FM. Now, if it has Echolink too, but it has FM, it'll show. But if you turn FM off and you put on Echolink, then it'll show anything that's running Echolink, and then you just turn on the bands you want to see. So, most people have dual band mobiles, in their cars, and so you turn on 2 meter, 70 centimeter System Fusion, and it's going to show you all the System Fusion capable repeaters within whatever mileage you have set up in your area. So it's pretty powerful that way. The way Nicholas has written that, so you can find the repeaters you want.
Now, if I'm looking for, or I have just the FM turned on, and I don't have the System Fusion turned on, will it still find those repeaters that have the System Fusion repeaters that have the C4 FM capabilities, but are still capable with FM? Will it find those, or will I have to have on the C4 FM to find those?
No, we actually track if it's a multi-mode repeater. Multi-mode meaning it does digital and analog, because a lot of P25 also does multi-mode. Mm-hmm. So if it's on auto mode select, which means it can accept analog or digital, mm-hmm. That means it's a multi-mode repeater to us, and so we tell the app it's FM and it's System Fusion. So clicking one or the other will bring up that repeater. You don't have to have them both checked. They'll come up either one because it's multi-mode, so it shows up in both modes.
Well, that's good to know. Kind of going off of a question I had last segment about the route and stuff like that. You said that the app will automatically update on your phone screen on current nearby repeaters. Is there a way now? I know that iOS doesn't do it because of what Apple won't let you do, like a serial port. But with the Android or the Kindle version of it, can you like tap on the screen and it automatically change your radio?
Yeah, so this is another one of Nicholas's inventions. It's a module, a Bluetooth dongle called BlueCat. Okay, and you plug BlueCat into your radio and use the Android app, and you see the repeater you want on the screen. You tap the repeater on the screen, and the VFO on your radio immediately changes to all the settings with all the parameters you need to key that repeater up. Boom, it's right there. And that is using your own device and your own radio. You don't have to buy a special radio. You just use your existing radio and use the app and make it work. Now, right now, it's only able to be used with the Yaesu FT857, 817, 897, and the ICOM 7000, 7100, 9100. But we are working to expand that to Kenwood and ICOM radios and other radios as they allow it. And we're exploring other technologies, not just Bluetooth, but other technologies. And all I'm allowed to say at this point is that it's coming. We have more radio options coming. Stay tuned. But with all this, I'll tell you, in the entry, I didn't really tell you a whole lot what I do for a living, but I actually do collision reconstruction. So cars, they crash, and we got to figure out what happened. So that's my day job. And so I have a passion about distracted driving and people driving safely. And so if you're trying to tune your radio, and I've tried it, we've all done it, you try to tune your VFO as you're driving down the road, how many seconds are your eyes off the road? Mm-hmm. But if I can just tap the screen, maybe it's up on the windshield, and you've got it up in one of those, clamps, and you tap it and your VFO changes, that's safe. Mm-hmm. That's safe, that's eyes up. And so we're working, I don't want to say we're working to make the road safer, but in a way we are, because we're working to expand that to every radio that will accept it, that will accept the ability to program the VFO from the phone. So that's a really neat thing that's expanding out and coming. Right now you can get the BlueCat if you have one of these Yaesu radios or ICOM radios, but I think a lot of people would like to see it work with their Yaesu FT8800, for instance. So we'll see what we can do on that.
Now, does that plug into a USB port, or is it a DIN spot, or what? What does that plug into?
What, to use BlueCat?
Yes.
Yeah. It plugs into whatever the panel is on the back to make it work. Now, I've seen it work with the Kenwood D710. I've seen it work, but lot more development needs to be done on that to get that ready to go. But yeah, there's a lot of these radios have ports on the back that you just need to interface with and make it work.
That would be really awesome. I would really enjoy that, especially driving down the road. That would be awesome. Now, the last question I have is, let's say that I am a software developer, and I'm wanting to get data from you for my users. Say I'm writing a new radio programming software because I don't like Chirp and I don't like RT Systems and all the other ones that are available. Do you allow API access to your database to get that information, and what would you do to go about doing that?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we do because Chirp and RT has it. So we don't have an open API. We get this question all the time. Hey, what's your API? And people just want to connect in the API, and we don't have that. What we do is we build custom APIs because we want to make sure that the company that we are partnering with will adhere to the same principles that we adhere to. So, Chirp and RT Systems both use an API. They do not charge for the data. Now, RT System charges for the software, but to get to the RepeaterBook data, there's no charge. They don't charge you more for that. So because of that, because the data is free, and that's, we insist on our data is free, will always be free. RT Systems respects that. They have an API. A couple other companies. There's a company called Rugged Rocks that makes GPS units for people that like to go out in 4x4 on the boonies. They have free cards that you can put into your GPS that they take our data. They have an API, and they load that in so you break an axle out in the boonies, you can see on your GPS who to call on a repeater. And then, the D-Star users, they have an API. So, yeah, I make APIs available. They just contact me, and we'll talk about what you plan to do with it. And as long as it is within our philosophy, which is not, onerous, it's hey, is it free, and does it help everybody, and does it not hurt us? You know what I mean? And you know why you do it. If you want to take it and you want to do your own repeater directory, we're probably not going to let you have it. But
oh man.
But if you want to if you are going to build another way to program radios, you're out there and you want to program a DMR radio, contact me. We'll make it work.
Okay. So, you say that this is all free, and that you don't have any ads in your app. You have one you said on the website?
Every page has at least one, yeah.
Okay. So is there a way that people can donate to you to help with the cost of running this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we still have costs, and we receive generous donations all the time from people. So there's an unobtrusive link on the front page of RepeaterBook.com. It says donate, and you throw that in there, and all the money goes right back into the site or researching for the site. It's all right back into the expenses. It's not free to run the site. So, but over the years, the community has been amazingly generous in that regard, which tells me that we're doing the right thing and people really appreciate it, and we're happy to keep working on that.
Well, that is awesome. I really look forward to using this program more and exploring it a little bit more than I've been able to the past week or so. So, Garrett, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for making this, and thank you and all of those that help you for maintaining and making sure this information is accurate. Kudos to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Like I said, we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for you. And if it helps you out, then that's all we care about.
So why don't you go ahead and give the website address again, and maybe an email where you can be contacted if somebody has questions.
Sure. So RepeaterBook, all one word, .com, RepeaterBook.com. Just go right there, and there's links to the apps right there on the website too, so you can go to it from your mobile device or on your PC, whatever you want. And you can also find us on Facebook at Facebook/RepeaterBook. We're active over there. And then to get a hold of me, admin@RepeaterBook.com.
Super easy. Well, Garrett, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Thank you for all the information, and I've really enjoyed it. And I've really enjoyed your app, too, so thank you for that again. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close?
The one thing I say is it doesn't hurt you to try it because it's free. And if it's not accurate, make it accurate.
Exactly. And that's good. That's a good advice for anything, anything that you do. So, yeah. So, Garrett, 73 to you, sir, and I greatly appreciate you coming on, and we will talk to you later.
73 to you and all your listeners, and Curtis, thank you for the opportunity to get the word out about RepeaterBook.
Absolutely. All right, sir. Have a great one. And that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. I want to thank Garrett for coming on today and talking with us. We had a great interview, I do believe. If you like what you heard here, please share it with your friends. Share it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those good places. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, or follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/everythinghamradio, YouTube at youtube.com/everythinghamradio, and on Twitter at K5CLM. You can find the show notes up for today's episode again at everythinghamradio.com/podcast/78. That's the number 78. Thank you for all of those that have helped out, both by listening and monetarily. And if you would like to help out, there's several ways you can do it. You can go to everythinghamradio.com/support to find out more. You can make a one-time donation through PayPal. You can become a per-episode contributor through Patreon, or simply shop on Amazon.com. And I know there's been several people that have been doing that, and I thank you very, very much for that. It is a great help, more than you know. Got a couple things in the works that I'm going to be talking about a little later in later episodes, so I hope you stick around for those and listen to them when they come out. I guess that pretty much wraps it up. So again, thank you, Garrett, for coming on, and thank you all for listening. So until next time, this is K5CLM signing out. 73, y'all.